The offender database reported that, in 2018, Richard Dowling and Annette Breakspear, the paedophile child molesters, were finally sent to prison. The father, Richard Dowling, forced his 11-year-old son to have sex with his stepmother, Annette Breakspear, in a twisted attempt to cure the child from being gay. Young Daniel Dowling was made to watch porn and forced into threesomes. And when he refused to perform a sex act on his stepmum, his dad tried to punch him. Daniel was robbed of a normal childhood, replaced by a sordid existence which right-minded people will find hard to fathom. He has been haunted by his ordeal, even by the smell of his stepmom's perfume, for more than 20 years. But now he has seen his tormentors jailed after turning detective to prove the guilt of his father, an ex-Ministry of Defense worker. Warped Richard Dowling was jailed for 5 years, and his ex-partner Annette Breakspear got 8. They are 62 now but were 38 when the abuse began. Legal reasons prevented them from being identified before today. But they can finally be exposed after Daniel, 36, bravely waived his anonymity. He said, "It was Dad's job to protect me. They stole my innocence and ruined my childhood. I can never get past that." Daniel will never forget the day the abuse began. It was a Sunday afternoon. Richard Dowling and Annette Breakspear were playing the board game Frustration with Daniel at home in Bracknell, Berks. Fashion retail manager Daniel, who now lives in Surrey, recalls, "Dad told me we were going to try something different, to take our clothes off whenever someone lost." By the end of the game, Annette was completely naked. They instructed me to touch and kiss her breasts. Dad was encouraging me to do it, so I thought it was okay. I think that night was a test of how I'd react because intercourse started after that. Daniel's father had met former carer Annette Breakspear through a Lonely Hearts ad after splitting from the lad's mother. During the 3 years together, Annette Breakspear stole Daniel's virginity and abused him more than 10 times. Once, he was picked up by his dad from Scouts, taken home and told to give Breakspear a goodnight kiss. Daniel said, "I went into their room, and she was handcuffed to the bed naked. I gave her a kiss and went to leave, but she asked me to touch her and to untie one of her hands. We had intercourse, and Dad came and joined in." Another time, he was made to view porn before his dad had oral sex with Annette and said, "That's how you do it." In another sickening incident, Daniel was called in to find them naked and engaged in a sex act. Annette Breakspear then had sex with Daniel. He said, "We'd watch porn in bed together and then we'd have threesomes. She'd instruct me on what to do. Sometimes, when Dad wasn't there, she'd ask me into her room for fondling and intercourse. I was an only child, and I spent a lot of time playing Lego, but she'd come in and ask me to do things to her." Daniel, who is gay but currently single, said, "I was sexualized at such a young age that sex means nothing to me now. The few positive memories of my childhood are tarnished by memories of the abuse. When I smell someone wearing her perfume, or see that board game in a shop or on TV, it brings the memories back." In a sickening attempt to explain his depravity in his trial at Reading Crown Court, Daniel's father claimed he abused his son to try and steer him in the right direction and not to go the way of being gay, because there was, sort of, tendencies for him to be gay. He added, "All I ever wanted was for him to turn out the right way." Daniel said, "Dad said that he did it to stop me from being gay because I showed feminine traits as a child. One day, we were at a car boot sale, and my neighbor saw me wrestling an old lady for a handbag. She told my dad, 'Your Dan's going to bat for the other side.' And Dad said, 'No son of mine will be gay.' I think the abuse started after that. It only stopped when Richard Dowling and Annette Breakspear split up around 1996. He claimed he broke up with her because she told him she'd had sex with Daniel and his granddad on the same day. The teenager and his father moved to Weymouth, Dorset. But Daniel, then 16, was targeted by another paedophile. Police raided the pervert's home and found naked pictures of Daniel. It was then, as a child psychologist was interviewing him, that Daniel revealed the years of abuse from his dad and stepmom. Richard Dowling was quizzed but claimed his son was an attention-seeking liar. Daniel believes Dorset police did not question Annette Breakspear, and there were no arrests. The despairing youngster later tried to kill himself. When the case finally came to trial in May this year, it was claimed shit-eating paedophile Dorset police treated him shoddily at his 1998 video interview, and that one Dorset police constable even mocked him. Daniel says it was left to him, some 17 years later, to get justice finally. On September 6, 2015, he secretly recorded a phone conversation in which his father admitted the abuse. 2 days later, Daniel walked into Staines police station in Surrey with the recording, and he said that this time the police took him seriously. He said, "I don't know if training has improved or if I was just unlucky the first time, but I would definitely encourage other victims of historic abuse to come forward and report it now." Daniel's dad admitted to police that he and Annette Breakspear carried out sordid and deplorable abuse and that he felt ashamed and disgusted. In court, he claimed the abuse was to prevent Daniel turning gay, to protect him from pedophiles so he would know what was right and wrong, and to educate him about how he should treat women. He blamed his actions on undiagnosed depression and said he fell under the influence of Annette Breakspear, whom he labeled a Jekyll and Hyde character. Annette Breakspear was found guilty of 3 counts of indecent assault, because back in the time the child rape happened, it was the golden days of paedophiles, where British justice did not recognise child rape as an offence. Richard Dowling admitted 1 count of cruelty to a child and 2 counts relating to sexual offences involving a child. He was found not guilty of 1 count of indecent assault. Judge Maria Lamb told Dowling, "Your warped sense of right and wrong allowed him to be exploited by your then-partner, not just once but again and again. You've failed to protect him from the sexually predatory behavior of your co-defendant. The damage is incalculable. The abuse of trust is monstrous, and the reality is that one of you was involved in active sexual abuse and the other connived at it." The judge told Annette Breakspear, "For your own perverted sexual gratification, you initiated this boy into a world far beyond anything to which he should ever have had to be introduced at those tender years." Daniel, who has not spoken to his father for over 2 years, said, "Dad threw me under the bus instead of admitting his guilt. He is dead to me now.